My husband came home drunk, reeking of cheap perfume. Just a wild night with the guys, he slurred. The next morning, a text popped up on his phone, "Last night was amazing. Let's do it again." I replied, "He won't be available. But his wife will be." At 8 p.m., she walked into the cafe expecting him. And saw me instead. Her smile vanished as I slid a picture of them across the table. "I never thought I'd post here, but I need to get this out. I've been married to my husband, Mark, for 10 years. I met him when I was 25 and working at a marketing firm in downtown Dallas. He was confident, charming, funny. The kind of guy who made everyone feel like they were the only one in the room. We dated for a couple of years, then got married. We bought a house, got a dog, settled into our routines. I thought we were happy. I work from home now, running my own little business selling custom planners and journals. Mark works in finance. He goes into the office every day, sometimes works late. Or so I thought. Last Friday night, he told me he was going out with the guys from work. Just beers and poker, he said, kissing my forehead. Don't wait up. I didn't think much of it. He goes out with them once in a while. They usually end up getting wasted and Ubering home. He got home around midnight. I was half asleep on the couch, watching old reruns. I heard the keys in the door and looked up. He was drunk. I mean drunk. Barely standing straight. His shirt was untucked, his hair all over the place, and he reeked of alcohol. But that wasn't what hit me first. It was the smell. Heavy. Sweet. A perfume I didn't recognize. Not like the body spray the girls in his office use. This was something cheap and thick, like the kind you'd smell walking through the perfume section of a drugstore. I stared at him. He smiled like nothing was wrong. Just a wild night with the guys, he slurred, then stumbled into our bedroom and passed out. I sat there for a while, trying to tell myself it was nothing. Maybe someone at the bar bumped into him. Maybe someone hugged him. Maybe it really was just a night with the guys. But I couldn't sleep. I laid in bed next to him, staring at the ceiling, heart racing. Something didn't feel right. The next morning, I got up early. I couldn't stop thinking about the perfume. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen counter, staring at nothing. That's when his phone buzzed. He always leaves it on the counter charging overnight. I didn't mean to look at it, but the screen lit up and the preview was right there. Last night was amazing. Let's do it again. I felt my stomach drop. I picked up the phone. His password hasn't changed in years. I unlocked it and opened the message. It was from someone named Lila. No last name. No emoji next to the name like he has for his coworkers or family. I scrolled up. They'd been texting for a while. Weeks. Maybe months. Flirty stuff. Pictures. A hotel address. Plans to meet. Inside jokes. Complaints about work. Complaints about me. And then, there it was. A message from 9:47 p.m. the night before. Room 408. I'll leave the door unlocked. Hurry, I froze. I couldn't cry. I couldn't even breathe properly. I just stared at the phone, trying to process what I was reading. He had cheated. He had gone to a hotel with another woman while I sat at home, worried he was drinking too much, hoping he got home safe. I don't know what came over me, but I typed a reply. He won't be available. But his wife will be. She replied in less than a minute. Wait, who is this? His wife. Meet me at Café Luna at 8 p.m. tonight. She didn't reply after that. Café Luna is a small place in downtown Dallas. We used to go there on weekends. I picked it on purpose. I got there early and chose a corner table where I could see the door. I wore something simple, jeans, sweater, no makeup. I didn't want to impress her. I wanted her to see what she helped destroy. At 8. 00 on the dot, she walked in. She was young. Maybe late 20s. Long hair, tight jeans, short jacket. She had that look, like she thought she was walking into a date, maybe even a surprise rendezvous. She was smiling. Until she saw me. I didn't say anything. Just looked at her and motioned to the seat across from me. She sat down slowly, clearly confused. I'm assuming you're Lila, I said. She nodded, but didn't speak. I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. It was a photo. From his camera roll. A selfie of them, both lying in bed, clearly unclothed, clearly after. He was kissing her cheek, and she was holding the phone. She stared at it for a long time, her hands shaking a little. I didn't know he was married, she whispered. I leaned back in my chair. Didn't notice the ring? Or the tan line when he wasn't wearing it? She looked down. He said you were separated. Of course he did. He told me you moved out, she added, like it would help. I didn't respond. I just kept looking at her, waiting to see if there was any real guilt, any shame. There was. I could see it. She wasn't the only one to blame, but she had still played a part. We talked for a while. I asked her when it started. She said 2 months ago. He met her at a bar near his office. She was a server there, and he started coming in regularly. Flirting. Tipping big. Eventually he asked her out. Said his divorce was messy but almost done. She admitted to sleeping with him more than once. Hotels, sometimes his car, once even in the office late at night. She started to cry halfway through. Said she felt stupid. Said he told her he wanted to start over with someone new, someone who made him feel alive again. I listened. I didn't cry. Not yet. She apologized. Said if she had known the truth, she never would have gone near him. I believed her. That didn't make it okay, but I believed her. I got up, left money on the table for the drinks we didn't order, and walked out. When I got home, he was in the shower. I didn't say anything. I just sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the water run, wondering how many lies a person can tell before they become a stranger. That's where I'm at now. Sitting in this silence, trying to figure out what comes next. That night, I couldn't sleep. I laid in bed next to him, pretending to be asleep while he snored, like everything was normal. But my mind was racing. His phone was still in the kitchen. I had read the texts already, but now I needed answers. Real ones. I needed to know how far this had gone. At 2 a.m., I slipped out of bed and tiptoed to the kitchen. I opened his phone again and started digging deeper, his emails, his calendar, his photos. That's when I saw something that made my heart stop. He had a second email address I'd never seen before. He'd used it to register for a dating site. And not just one. 3 different apps. All under fake names. All saying he was single. No kids. No attachments. There were messages from other women. Some recent. Some going back a full year. Different cities. Different hotel bookings. Photos of him smiling in places I thought he visited on work trips, Chicago, Denver, Phoenix. Except now I knew he hadn't gone alone. This wasn't just one mistake. This wasn't even just one affair. This was a pattern. A second life. The next morning, I acted like nothing was wrong. I made breakfast. Kissed him on the cheek. Asked how his night had been. He smiled like the liar he is. Said they played poker. Said Steve lost $200. Steve doesn't even know how to bluff, he joked, laughing. I wanted to throw the pan at his head. But I didn't. I needed a plan. So I called Steve. We're not close, but we've been to a few office parties together. I got his number from an old group text and sent him a message. Hey, did you guys have fun Friday night? He responded quickly, what do you mean? I stared at the screen. I texted again. Poker night. With Mark and the guys? His reply, haven't seen Mark in weeks. I sat there for 10 minutes, phone in hand, stomach flipping. I felt cold. I felt like my skin didn't fit anymore. He didn't just cheat. He built an entire story around it. Used his friends as props. Lied so easily. I wasn't angry anymore. I was something else. Hollow, maybe. Numb. That night, I pretended again. I made spaghetti. Poured him wine. He talked about work like nothing had changed. I nodded. Smiled. Listened. And then he said something that snapped everything inside me. He mentioned buying a boat. A boat. He looked excited, like a kid talking about a new toy. We've been working a lot of overtime. Bonuses are coming. I've always wanted one. Thought it'd be fun for weekends. You know, just us. Out on the lake. I laughed. Not because it was funny. But because it was crazy. The audacity. The sheer disconnect. Here I was, knowing everything, holding it all in, and he was talking about buying a boat like he was still husband of the year. I didn't say anything. I just smiled. The next day, I checked our bank account. And I found the payments. 2 hotel stays. 1 airline ticket. A $300 dinner from a restaurant in New Orleans. I'd never been to New Orleans. The money wasn't coming from our joint account. It was from a second card I didn't know existed. A work credit card, he had said once. Now I knew better. He had opened a secret account. Just like he had a secret phone. Just like he had a secret life. That night, I took screenshots of everything. Messages. Emails. Bank statements. Photos. I printed them out and put them in a folder. I even bought a little USB stick and backed it all up. I wasn't sure yet what I was going to do with it. But I knew the time for pretending was ending. The next twist didn't come from Mark. It came from Lila. 3 days after our cafe meeting, she texted me again. Lila, hey. I need to tell you something. Can we talk? I didn't answer right away. But something told me to listen. I agreed to meet her again. This time at a different cafe across town. Neutral ground. She looked worse this time. Tired. Nervous. I think I might be pregnant, she said. The words felt like a punch to the chest. I haven't told him, she added quickly. I don't even know if it's his. I sat there, unable to speak. My ears were ringing. I'm not asking for anything, she said. I just thought you should know. In case he tries to twist things later. I left the cafe feeling like the ground had shifted beneath me. A possible baby. With one of his affairs. And then I realized something. Something that made my blood run cold. If he knew she was pregnant, and knew I found out, what would he do? He had already lied, cheated, manipulated. How far would he go to protect himself? When I got home that night, he was on the porch drinking beer. He smiled when he saw me. I looked at him and for the first time in 10 years, I didn't see my husband. I saw a stranger. I saw a man who had lied to my face, slept with other women, stole from me, mocked my trust. And I had a folder full of proof. The folder was hidden in the back of my closet, under old scarves and a broken curling iron. I checked it every night before bed, like it was a loaded gun. Just knowing it was there made me feel a little safer, a little more in control. But then, something happened I didn't expect. That Friday, Mark came home early from work. He brought flowers, cheap ones from the grocery store, but still, and kissed my cheek. I've been thinking, he said. We should go away for the weekend. Just us. Reconnect. I stared at him. Reconnect? Yeah, he said, smiling like nothing had happened. You've seemed distant lately. I thought maybe some time together would help. It took everything in me not to laugh. Distant. He had no idea. I played along. Sure. Sounds nice. Where were you thinking? I booked a cabin near Lake Texoma, he said. Private, quiet. Just 2 hours away. Something about that made my skin crawl. A cabin. Remote. Isolated. No neighbors. I nodded slowly. Sounds perfect. The night before we were supposed to leave, I couldn't sleep. My gut wouldn't let me. Something felt off. Not just with the trip, but with him. He had been different. Too calm. Too charming. Like he was trying to put on a show. He'd been watching me more closely lately. Asking strange questions like, do you ever talk to anyone about us? Or, you still love me, right? And then something else happened. Around 1 a.m., I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer. But they left a voicemail. It was a woman's voice. Older. Shaky. Hi, you don't know me, but I think you need to hear this. Your husband, Mark, he's been seeing my daughter. He told her he was divorced. He told her you were violent. That he was afraid of you. Please, please be careful. I sat there in the dark, the phone clutched in my hand, heart pounding. He told people I was dangerous? That I abused him? I called the number back the next morning. The woman answered. Her name was Judith. Her daughter, Maria, had met Mark through a dating app 6 months ago. She was 23. He said he was going through a custody battle, Judith told me. That you tried to take everything. That you threatened him. I felt sick. He wasn't just cheating. He was setting the stage for something. Telling people I was violent. That I was the villain. And now he wanted to take me to a cabin in the middle of nowhere? I didn't pack a bag that morning. I packed the folder. And the USB. And a small kitchen knife I hid in the side of my purse. We drove in silence most of the way. He kept looking at me out of the corner of his eye. Smiling. Saying things like, we really needed this. The road to the cabin was long. Twisting. Trees on both sides. No signal. I stayed calm. Played the part. Smiled when I had to. When we got to the cabin, it looked like something out of a horror movie. Small. Old. Not much around. No neighbors. He opened the trunk and said, want to help me grab the bags? I'll get the wine, I said, walking toward the porch. That's when I saw it. An axe. Leaning against the wall. Freshly sharpened. My legs almost gave out. I forced myself to keep walking, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Inside the cabin was worse. Just one big room. A fireplace. One bed. No curtains. Just silence. He lit a fire, poured wine, and started talking about how much he loved me. About how hard things had been, but how we could fix it. I nodded. Smiled. Waited. Later, while he was in the bathroom, I grabbed my phone, turned on audio recording, and slid it under the bed. That night, things got weird. He kept asking if I trusted him. Kept saying things like, if something ever happened to me, would you protect me? He asked if I'd ever thought about starting over. Disappearing. I played dumb. He poured more wine. Tried to get me to drink more. I pretended to sip. I watched him closely. His hands. His eyes. Then he said it. You know, people vanish out here all the time. Woods are deep. No one around. I froze. He looked at me. Smiling. Like it was a joke. But it wasn't a joke. Not with everything I knew. I excused myself, said I had a headache. Went to the car to grab my pills. I took my purse. The folder. Everything. Got in the car. Locked the doors. And I drove. Didn't look back. Didn't answer his calls. Just drove. I went straight to my friend Rachel's place in Fort Worth. Cried for 2 hours on her couch. The next morning, I went to the police. I gave them everything. The texts. The emails. The receipts. The recording. They took it seriously. Very seriously. Because as it turns out, I'm not the only one who's come forward. Mark has a history. There's a report filed in 2016 by another woman, different name, different state, but the story? Almost the same. Except she disappeared. I sat in the small office of Detective Vargas, across from his worn-out desk, my hands shaking as I handed him the flash drive and folder. My voice felt like it belonged to someone else as I recited every event from the perfume to the cabin. When I told him about the axe, his expression changed. "This isn't just infidelity," he said, flipping through the photos. "This is deception layered on top of manipulation. You did the right thing walking away." I wasn't sure. Right didn't feel right. Nothing did. They kept the drive. Made copies. Asked me to stay available for follow-up. The detective promised to look into the 2016 disappearance, to link Mark if they could. I walked out with my stomach in knots and a dull ache behind my eyes. Back at Rachel's house, I broke down. Not because I missed him. Not because I wanted him back. But because I finally let go of the lie I had clung to for so long, that Mark loved me, that we were partners. Rachel cried with me. Then she poured wine, sat across from me, and said something I'll never forget: "You didn't lose him. You just finally saw who he really was." 3 days later, Mark showed up at my doorstep. Rachel wasn't home. He looked rough, like he hadn't slept. His hair was a mess. He was wearing the same clothes from the night I left. "You left," he said quietly. "Just disappeared." I stood behind the screen door, arms crossed. So did a woman in 2016. Ring a bell? His jaw clenched. "What the hell are you talking about?" "I talked to the police," I said. "They're digging." And I gave them everything. His face changed. Not fear. Rage. "You had no right." I laughed, cold and bitter. "You drugged me with wine. Took me to a cabin. Told people I was violent. And I had no right?" He stepped forward. "You don't know what you've done." "I know exactly what I've done," I snapped. "I stopped you. Before you hurt someone else. Before you maybe hurt me." For a second, I thought he was going to break down. His eyes welled up, his mouth opened like he wanted to say something, maybe a confession, maybe more lies. But then he looked past me, into the house. "They'll never believe you." "Funny," I said, holding up my phone. "Because I've got them listening right now." I hit end recording. The blinking red dot faded from the screen. He went pale. The police came within an hour. Mark was arrested. No big scene. Just quiet cuffs and a short nod from Detective Vargas as they walked him to the cruiser. They found more women. More accounts. More lies. That woman from 2016? Her case reopened. Her mother cried when she called me. Said she always suspected her daughter was involved with someone dangerous, but never had proof. They had proof now. The fallout was ugly. Some people called me a liar. Others called me brave. His mother sent me a long email blaming me for ruining his life. I didn't even open it. Just deleted it. I filed for divorce immediately. Told the lawyer I wanted nothing but my name back. The court process was slow. But every paper I signed, every meeting I took, it felt like pulling pieces of him out of my skin. Lila? She kept in touch. Her pregnancy test came back negative. She moved back in with her parents, started therapy. She thanked me, twice. Said I saved her from something far worse. Rachel never let me be alone. Neither did our dog, Buddy. He stayed glued to me for weeks. Like he knew. Months later, I stood in my new apartment, a small, bright space with too many windows and not enough furniture, and I breathed, really breathed, for the first time in years. There was no perfume in the air. No secret phones. No lies walking in at midnight. Just me. Alone. And okay. Mark didn't just cheat. He built a second life, crafted out of lies, fake names, and gaslighting. He made me question myself, my memory, my sanity. But I made it out. I don't know if I'll ever trust again. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe it's enough that I trust myself now. What I lost wasn't love. It was the illusion of love. What I gained? Clarity. Strength. A voice I didn't know I had. I don't have a big ending. There's no new boyfriend, no movie-style closure. Just me. Living. Breathing. Trying. And honestly, that's enough.